Hello and welcome to the first episode of letterboxd comments slash review slash hopefully these are funny, because I said in my commentary on the Warzone video, hope you guys watched that because it was a great gameplay, that I wanted to get into the letterboxd comment review thing because I had saved a whole bunch and they were all super funny. So while preparing for this video, I was going through all those hilarious letterboxd comments that I liked, and a lot of them were not that great. But there's enough for this video, and I want to start off with the clickbait that I'm going to use for the title, which is this really weird like meme conspiracy thing going on that is like actually a thing. Like, I'm not just making this up. So what we have here is Den of Thieves, a fantastic movie, by the way, if you haven't seen it, but it's really ridiculous. Like, what this guy's saying is that it's basically Heat, but for like bros and like, oh yeah, type of shit. But he ends it by saying that Jerry Butler staring off into the middle distance like a real fiend for mojitos. Now, there is no mojitos in Den of Thieves, so without context, that would make no sense. What is he talking about? A fiend for mojitos? Well, it is actually a reference to the Miami Vice remake, reboot, reimagining from Michael Mann, starring Colin Farrell and Jamie Foxx, where I'm going to show you the scene, is a throwaway line that Colin Farrell gives to the drug dealer's wife that he's like infiltrating undercover, where she asks him, "What do you like to drink?" And he's like, "I'm a fiend for mojitos." And that's it. That's it. But for some reason, it's become like this big like joke that like correspond to like real macho man behavior, is saying that you're a fiend for mojitos.
Where would you like to go?
What do you like to drink?
I'm a fiend for mojitos.
But it goes even deeper than that, because there's this weird subsection of people that genuinely find, and this is a fine movie, it's like alright, it's like above average, but they genuinely find this Miami Vice movie to be like one of the greatest films of all time. Like, it's like experimental, the way it tells its story with no nonsense, straight to the point, and mood and atmosphere is like Michael Mann's magnum opus. And he's made a lot of good movies. So it's like, okay. And I came to find out that this all started, I'm not going to get like super into this, but it started in like some back in the day like forum, because early internet had like a bunch of like random forums that people would type in random stuff. But I guess there were like a group of people that were called like the Miami Vicers that were like really into like the praise of this movie, and you can find it on like other like kind of like wacky movies.
Oh, I used to love Doggy Chow. I used to love Doggy Chow too.
Specifically Showgirls. If people really love Showgirls, they also really loved Miami Vice. It's a weird correlation between people who find certain movies and like give like ridiculous elaborate reviews about also enjoying Miami Vice and probably being a fiend for mojitos. Now let's get into some of the more less in depth and funnier comments. So what we have here is two separate comments that are kind of similar jokes, and I hid who commented each comment because one of them is from yours truly and the other one is from someone else who I noticed made a joke similar to my joke. Now, I think both are funny, so I want you guys in the comments to say which one you think is funnier, and we'll see if it's the one that I wrote or it's the one that the other person wrote. And I'm going to go through both of them and make a little fun graphic, because they both lend themselves to fun graphics. So the first one was from the League of Extraordinary Gentlemen movie, which, if you have not heard of it, it is a movie based on a graphic novel that had like literary characters coming together to form like a super Avengers type deal. It's the Avengers with literary characters. Like in the movie, the actual movie, it had Captain Nemo from 20,000 Leagues Under the Sea, Tom Sawyer from Tom Sawyer, Dorian Gray from The Portrait of Dorian Gray. Some of those are mentioned in the actual joke here. But so yeah, it's like all these literary characters, and this comment, which I actually agree with, is that I want another version of it, and or at least like the concept or whatever. But so this comment listed potential characters that could be in a new version of it. So we have Moby Dick, the Scarlet Letter Babe, that crazy French bitch from Tale of Two Cities, name changed to be decided Joe from Tom Sawyer, that pretentious douche from Dorian Gray who was just a mouthpiece for Oscar Wilde's embarrassing philosophy, the billboard from The Great Gatsby, which I think is the one of like the glasses that was like supposed to represent the seeing eyes of the god, like seeing all the debauchery. Boo Radley, Robert Duvall's character from To Kill a Mockingbird. He was like the recluse who lived next door. And the snake from The Speckled Band, the Sherlock Holmes mystery where the snake was the poisonous killer. And then this other movie that has a comment is Sadako vs. Kayako, which is, I'm not sure which one's which. I think Sadako is the possessed girl from The Ring, and Kayako is the possessed woman from The Grudge. So this was some really cheesy, nonsensical mashup where they fight each other. It's basically the Japanese Freddy vs. Jason, which is just hilarious that it got made. Because it doesn't really make any sense that two cursed ghost spirits would fight each other, but whatever. So the comment jokes about 5 other potential hilarious horror mashups, which is Rumpelstiltskin versus the Vivitch, Candyman versus Francis Ford Coppola's Bram Stoker's Dracula, and it makes sure that the title must be exactly giving credit to Francis Ford and Bram Stoker equally, because they both deserve it. Then we have Gremlins vs. Ghoulies vs. Beasties vs. Critters vs. the Gnome from Cat's Eye vs. the Pit vs. the Brood, which some of these are a little bit different, but they basically all have small evil creatures, so they could get into a very fun little brawl reminiscent of that Imagine Dragons music video, probably. Then we have Don't Look Now vs. God Told Me To, which is just ridiculous. And then we have Maximum Overdrive vs. Tremors. Yeah.
What the hell?
Pull it back! Pull it back! I got it.
And then to close out, we have just a very simple, very basic comment that it just resounded with me very deeply. I need to fuck Marge Simpson before I die. I agree.
For my life, can't say that, girl. Don't tell me you could say that shit. All she want is payback for the way I always play that shit.